A political action committee that is supported by Democrat Bakari Sellers is seeking to unseat a fellow Democrat, Rashida Tlaib, who of course is progressive and apparently is not the right flavor of Democrat for corporate Democrats like Sellers. Now, the stated goal for this PAC is to, quote, empower urban communities and narrow the wealth gap between Black and white Americans. In reality, that's just the cover story here. In reality, this is an attempt to oust progressive lawmakers who actually take a stand against funding the right-wing government of Israel and individuals who take a stand against corporate greed. Now, the Urban Empowerment Action PAC, as it's known, has labeled the challenge against Tlaib as its premier race and plans to spend at least $1 million to unseat her, arguing that Detroit, a city that is majority Black, should be represented by a Black member of Congress. Okay, let's pause for a second. Her voters, her supporters, think she's done an excellent job in representing them. Right? So she has fought aggressively for the child tax credit to be made permanent. Now, she unfortunately lost that battle because corporate Democrats conspired with Republicans and decided to decouple the infrastructure bill, so the social spending didn't end up passing at all. She has also secured quite a bit of funding for her district in the bipartisan infrastructure bill. So they give all these examples of how she's done a good job representing them. But this political action committee is like, no, we don't care if it's a corporate politician. We don't care if it's someone who would not represent the best interests of these constituents. We just want a Black person to represent them.
Yeah, so now look, that's not even true, of course.
Yeah, of course.
This is actually just a front group for, let's put it this way, Israeli interests, okay? The cover story about, oh, we care so much about Black people is hilarious, and you'll see the details here in a second. And people who are involved in this group are total sellouts, so let me be super clear about that. I'll get back to that in a second. But even if it were true, there's this dynamic of the Black elites versus the Black voters. So the Black voters pick Rashida Tlaib, and then the Black elites come in and go, no, I want the job. I think the Black voters are wrong. They picked the wrong person. They shouldn't have picked Rashida Tlaib. They should have picked me or somebody like me, someone who's already rich and powerful is among the Black elites. Why don't you do a better job and just pick me instead of the one you want? Wow, what a compelling story you have.
And remember, Bakari Sellers is behind this political action committee, and he has stated what his problems with Rashida Tlaib are. Two main issues. Number one, that Rashida Tlaib voted down additional military support for Israel.
Wow, it seems like the people of Detroit care so much about that. And that's why Bakari Sellers is like, oh my God, you should see the love for Israel pouring forth in the streets of Detroit. They're like, please give them more money and more weapons, I'm begging. Really, with a straight face, you're gonna say this? Pathetic.
And one other thing, and I have to correct myself because I made a quick mistake, but she also voted against the bipartisan infrastructure bill. When I mentioned that she had secured money to the tune of $15 million for her district, it was not in the bipartisan infrastructure bill, it was in the budget bill that she did vote in favor of. So that's an important clarification I wanted to make sure I gave you guys. But no, I mean, the reason why Rashida Tlaib did the right thing, along with other progressive lawmakers in voting down the bipartisan infrastructure bill, is because the corporate Democrats didn't hold up their side of the deal, which is to ensure that the social spending bill would pass first, or that there would be a path for passage for the social spending bill. And so she's like, oh, you're not keeping your side of the deal? Then I'm not gonna vote for the bipartisan corporate handout bill.
So let me just say two real quick things about that. One is that Rashida Tlaib and the other Just Democrats were correct. They said if you decouple them, we'll never get Build Back Better. And there goes child tax credit, paid family leave, lower drug prices, etc. And she was right. As soon as they did the wrong strategy, which Bakari Sellers wanted, all the great provisions in Build Back Better were killed by Joe Manchin instantly, just like Rashida Tlaib predicted. So nobody ever came back and say, hey, Rashida, great job, thank you so much. Instead, they do smear jobs like this. And how did it pass anyway when the 6 Just Democrats voted against it? Well, Pelosi just called her Republican friends.
Yeah.
And the Republicans are like, oh, you guys are giving out corporate pork? Oh my God, all of our donors are corporate donors. Yeah, so sure, here you go, here's enough votes to pass it. So don't tell, and by the way, the people donating this, as you're gonna see, give more to Republicans than they do to Democrats. This is not just for Israeli interests, this is a right-wing hatchet job
100%.
in the middle of Detroit.
100%, so let's get to those details, because it's important to know who's funding this political action committee and who their friends are. So billionaire hedge fund investor, this is graphic 4, billionaire hedge fund investor and philanthropist Daniel Loeb, the first and single largest donor to UEA PAC, has supported several conservative Democrats, including Senator Bob Menendez, Representative Shontel Brown, who of course ran against Nina Turner and unfortunately defeated her, a registered Democrat. He has given more than $1 million to Republicans so far this cycle and gave UEA PAC $150,000 in October. Now, what else has he contributed quite a bit of money to? Well, he's also contributed to AIPAC, giving $5,000 to the group in April alone. AIPAC's new PAC, United Democracy Project, has also spent millions to defeat progressives this cycle and endorsed more than 100 Republican candidates who voted to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. Get a load of this guy, I mean, unbelievable. Loeb also gave $125,000 in June to its counterpart, Democratic Majority for Israel PAC, which has also spent similar figures fighting progressives this cycle.
So everything about this is fraud. So Democratic Majority for Israel is not even Democratic. Most of their donors are also Republicans. But so this guy's Loeb is a registered Democrat, right? Well, this is why we tell you, a lot of times the Democratic donors and the Republican donors are the same exact person. So Loeb's like, oh, I want the Democrats to be as right-wing as possible. I want them to give me tax cuts. I want them to give me everything. I want them to give the rich everything. And then he happens to have an interest in Israel. Coincidentally, also, I would like for you to vote with Israel and never question them, right? And then he gives even more to the Republicans for the same exact reason. So this is the problem with corruption. Once you're reliant on donors, the donors have an ask. They have, and they give to both parties for the same reason. They want the money. They want the benefits. They're just bribing people. It's a legalized bribe, but don't kid us and say, oh my God, he cared so much about the general welfare of the people of Detroit.
Yeah, right.
No, he didn't. That's an obvious lie. That's a legalized bribe, and everyone participating is definitely corrupt.
You have corporate Democrats colluding with right-wing donors to oust progressives. That is what's happening, and they're selling it with this identity politics package, right? 100%. So that's really, really important to understand, because while again, the cover story is we care about wealth inequality by a hedge fund manager. By a hedge fund manager.
Total, utter lie.
We want to make sure that the people of Detroit are being represented by a black representative. They don't care about any of that. Again, that is the facade, that is the cover story, right? In reality, this is about doing away with the few decent lawmakers we have, including Rashida Tlaib. One final piece of information, actually two, because it's important to know where all this money is going, who these funders really support. A little bit more on Loeb. In March, for instance, he gave $250,000 to the GOP-aligned Congressional Leadership Fund, another $250,000 to the similarly aligned Senate Leadership Fund, and since August, more than $340,000 to the National Republican Senatorial Committee. So homeboy loves the right wing, loves the right wing. And so that is obviously some insight into what the real goals are here. And then finally, there are other people funding this political action committee. Other major donors to UEA PAC include the Benoit Group, a real estate developer based in Georgia. I'm sure that the people of Detroit would love to know that a real estate developer is funding this. And Striving for a Better New York, a PAC linked to New York City Mayor Eric Adams that backs conservative candidates and is funded by real estate moguls and Republicans.
So if you're wondering why real estate, what does that have to do with Israel or Detroit or anything? Because no, they're going around and looking for corrupt candidates who'll do anything they want. right? That's why the crypto guys are in so many races. Whoever raised their hand and says, I'll be a corporate Democrat, they go, oh, they're good, that's the corrupt one. Then we give them money and we get our votes for crypto, it doesn't matter. Oh, Chantel Brown raised her hand, great, then she's a sellout, good, fantastic, give her the money, okay? And so in this case, does the press ever tell you? I mean, look, The Intercept, fantastic job here. Great credit to Achille Lacy, wonderful reporting, backed up by facts, indisputable facts. Did the press tell the voters in Cleveland, Detroit, and elsewhere, oh, by the way, these are Republicans that are pretending to be Democrats and that don't care about Detroit or Cleveland at all. All they care about is maybe real estate interests, crypto, Israel, and random things. They're just bribing these politicians. The press never told them that. Why wouldn't you tell such an incredibly relevant fact? Unless you're trying to do a cover up for the corruption. And finally, the Bakari sellers. So Bakari got started, and he's given speeches about this through AIPAC. They found him, he was very young, he was in college, and they said, we'll fund you. And he told, speaking to other young black leaders, he said, oh, they'll fund you too. And so you just have to say that you're for Israel, and they'll give you money. Wow. What a profile in courage. So I know that Bakari Sellers is liked by a lot of people, including probably people that I like, okay? You know why? Because he's a very nice guy in person. I've met Bakari Sellers, very pleasant person, right? If you go out for a beer with him, I'm sure you'll have a great time, right? That doesn't excuse any of his actions. So if you tell me, oh no, but I like Bakari, I had nice tea and crumpets with him, so I don't mind him working with Republicans to destroy progressives based on a lie and helping Israel. No deal. And Bakari, if you want to cry about it, I don't care at all. You're definitely a sellout. Oh my God, did I offend you? Did I offend you? You trying to buy these elections on behalf of these corrupt people is 10,000 times more offensive. And you don't mind doing that to the voters at all. You don't mind deceiving them. You don't mind getting this corrupt money into politics and trying to destroy progressives? And I'm supposed to shed a tear for you? No deal, total sellout. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.